Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I am the Detail Hot Lab, and if you're new here, why don't you go ahead and smash that subscribe button? I would much appreciate it. So let's get into it. We got ourselves an Auxbeam 8-gang switch panel system. This is not a sponsored video, so my installation and my final thoughts of this whole process will be legitimate, and I will give you guys an honest feedback of how the install went. So I just recently picked this up on Amazon. You can pick it up on their website, Auxbeam, or you can pick it up on Amazon. I'm sure there's a lot of third-party users that do sell these, but get your hands on one of these. You're gonna want one. So this eliminates the use of a fuse block and miscellaneous switches that goes in and on your dash. So this would just be a clean little 8-gang switch panel with customizable buttons. So that way you know exactly what button does what. So this is gonna be perfect for clean installs, for all your lighting and accessories for any part of your vehicle that you do decide to wire up. This can definitely go into your cab of your vehicle, or it can go in the hood, and then the switch panel could just go into the cab of the vehicle. So let's get into it, and let's open the box, and then we'll go ahead and install the Auxbeam into the vehicle, and I'll show you the steps and procedures. So now we're going to go ahead and unbox the Auxbeam power controller. The first thing you are greeted with is the manual, and then some stickers. So these stickers go anything from electrical fan to a sway bar disconnection to underglow lights, endless possibilities, and you do have customizable buttons on the side. So when we open the container, we're greeted with the fuse panel, and it does come with fuses already ranging from 30 to 5, and then with the 2 prongs up top, we get the controller itself with a small little disconnection plug right here. Everything is waterproof for the button panel. You do have a mounting hardware. This is steel or aluminum, I'm not quite sure, but it is metal, so good for that. You do have a tap-in fuse. You also get heat shrink with it for your positive and negative terminals. You get an accessory container with bolts and nuts and an Allen wrench for all the terminal connections. You get a extension cable, which is for the Auxbeam to the fuse panel. You get more mounting hardware. You get a ton of zip ties, which are the thin ones, but they're very long, which I do appreciate that. Then you get, I believe this is 8-gauge wire. I could be wrong, but it is. It does have the positive and negative, and it does also have the fuse on it, which is very helpful. And then it comes with some spare fuses ranging from that 30 to 5. Then you have extra larger fuses, which appear to be 60 amp apiece. So besides that, that is the unboxing of the Auxbeam. Now, let's get into it. All right, so there's a few things you will need for this install to make it more clean. So the first thing you'll need is some cable sleeving. This is a 1/4 inch. You can get a little bit bigger or smaller. I went with the 1/4 inch because the biggest cable that I'm going to be putting in this is a 8-gauge wire that comes with the Auxbeam, and then it is 25 foot, so I would purchase this for sure. The next thing I would do is purchase one of these kits. I will have everything I use linked down in the description for you guys to purchase if you guys would like. So it's just these connectors. It is a little bit bigger piece. You don't need this entire piece, but I do a lot of electrical work. It would be nice to have all these different types of connectors and like ends and whatnot. So these do have the heat shrink on the outside, so whenever you clamp these cables down, you can go ahead and use the heat gun, which I will mention here shortly, heat gun to shrink the shielding onto the cable. That way it produces a waterproof seal. The next thing I would definitely highly recommend is heat shrink. This is 3-to-1. There's a lot of common ones that are 2-to-1, but those tend to not do as well. 3-to-1 is your go-to, and it does have some like super glue adhesive in here, so that way it kind of stays weather tight, and I've had great success with this. The next thing you'll need is a heat gun, a solder iron, screwdrivers. We'll need a plastic trim remover kit. Then I'll mention what I haven't mentioned here up in the corner of all the different things that we'll need. But besides that, let's go ahead and get into the install process for this Auxbeam. Okay, one more thing before we get started with the install. I went ahead and put on the cable sleeving, as well as right at the end here, you'll see the heat shrink on this. So that way it keeps it from fraying and maybe moving along the cable. So I went ahead and put it on the positive and the negative as well. So the only way you'll be able to figure out which one's positive, which one's negative is right at the end here. And then obviously whatever side has the fuse on it. I know there's a few different products out there that do not have the fuse, but it has like a circuit breaker. I do like that one a little bit better, but with this kit, it has the 60 amp fuse. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get this Auxbeam installed into the vehicle. So the first step is you gotta figure out where you want to put your fuse block distribution panel. And I think the best location is here due to how tall it is compared to the rest of the engine bay. And then we'll go ahead and run the positive and negative wires. So we're just going to use these terminal connections here for the positive and negative, and then we'll run it to the fuse tap for the remote turn on wire here. We'll probably cut this down to length and then connect it in here. The fuse I end up using was 91. So there is a constant on and a accessory on the same port. So 91 if it is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. So right there it's running through the firewall of the vehicle. And then I'll show you on the other side where it comes out. And that, okay, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult to explain, but this is the passenger side of the firewall. There is monstrosity of cabling, but if you look back here, there is enough gap, kind of like this one right over here, enough gap to go through this, but also puncture the other side. But make sure you don't puncture any of these cables, because that is a rat's nest of cable. So that's where I ran the positive, negative wire right here, and then the extension cable for the Auxbeam, so I can put it in the vehicle. We're just gonna go ahead and wrap the cabling around the carpet well, and then here on the passenger side, you can actually take off this panel right here, and you could run your wiring right down this way and pop it out right here if you want it right here. I mean, you can even take out this piece and this piece right here so you get it right here. Or you can put it wherever you want. I have to temporarily do it because I'm actually getting my dash replaced here soon, so I can't put anything permanent yet. But that's how I'm running it into my vehicle, and then this this like speaker cable, but it is 12 gauge wiring. I'm just gonna connect the LED lighting for the footwells in each side, so that way it can illuminate better. So just go ahead and break that off. Let's run the cabling all the way. I'm gonna have to set down this camera, I think. Okay. And what we could honestly do is just zip tie it to this, and that way it keeps it right here. We'll connect to this guy on the inside it'll connect to this guy right here. So let's go ahead and get this installed in the vehicle, and I'll show you the steps and procedures of how to do this. So the battery needs to be disconnected first, and that is underneath the passenger seat. So let's go ahead and get that disconnected, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we disconnected the negative terminal on the battery, so we are good to start this process. Now let's go ahead and get this mounted in a location that makes sense, and I think this would make the most sense. Now, I'm not going to screw into the fuse box. I'm actually going to use some double-sided Velcro, just 3M Velcro, so that way I don't break the housing and I don't ruin, that way I can just disconnect this whenever, so that way it's not always screwed down. It will stay and it will almost be permanent. Okay, let's go ahead and get the 3M sticky stuff. Just Velcro, and it sticks together, and then it has 3M on both sides. Turn this thing over, and we'll go ahead and place one on one side, one on the other. I'm not going to put too much because this stuff will almost be permanent, and I don't want that to be a thing. I want it to be like temporarily permanent, you know what I mean? So we'll stick one there, and then we'll stick one on the other side. Then, moment of truth, we'll go ahead and throw it on here. Okay, make sure this can open up, perfect. And then we want to make sure that this doesn't interfere with the hood. So let's go ahead and clear all this stuff up, make sure it closes, and then we should be good to go. Oh yeah, so we are good to continue since it has closed. Okay. So let's go ahead and get the positive and negative terminals on. Now the vehicle still does not have power. So I put the negative terminal here, and we'll go ahead and use that positive terminal for the positive. Nice. So that's how you take off this. There's a screw and a bolt here that usually just thumb screw it off, but I do not have that one anymore. And then there's little grooves that we can go through. Okay, let's go ahead and get this tightened down. Cool. We'll go ahead and get the negative on there. So this is the Micro 2 fuse tab, and then make sure that whatever number you pull the fuse tab, this is the bottom one, that's where you want to put it, and then put whatever fuse you want that you're tapping into up here. And then I went ahead and put on a new end since I've already terminated this, and then this will heat shrink down. So we have the fuse tab. We already put heat shrink on the cable. Let's go ahead and get you guys closer. Go ahead and attach this to 91. Okay. We'll go ahead and feed that through. Okay. So now So for the sake of the video, we'll just go ahead and connect the Auxbeam controller to the fuse panel, not using the extension cable yet. It was only for demonstration purposes first. And then we'll go ahead and connect a accessory light that I already have connected, and these are just amber lights for the front of the vehicle. Okay, so these are actually labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then they also have labels on them for positive and negative. So that's super cool because there's different ones that only have positive leads, and then you have to find a negative terminal. But what's great about this switch one is it has one terminal to go into the chassis of the vehicle or whatever. But I just use this one because you can connect positive and negative to the same lead, and it cleans up that much better. For the sake of this part of the video, let's go ahead and plug the battery back in and see what process we have already done. So make sure that you have your negative and then the positive terminals reconnected. Okay, so we already have everything connected. Now let's go ahead and turn the accessory on, or the key on, and let's see if this thing powers up, and then let's go ahead and turn on the lights. So this is already a great sign that whenever the accessory is on in the vehicle, this lights up. None of this should light up at all, but this should. You have an on and off switch for all of them, and then you have specific buttons. So these are all on and off switch. So the first one lit up my grill lights, as you can tell right here. Turn them off. Hood lights, I have nothing connected to 2. And that's super cool. So now let's go ahead and get this disconnected. And then connect the extension wire to the fuse panel. Okay. I have not found anything to power this up yet. I will probably end up using LED light strips underneath the footwells so I can turn them off and on at any point. Okay, while we're in the hood, we're gonna go ahead and just install one of 2 LED light strips, so that way there's actually light underneath the hood. Okay, so I've actually found some miscellaneous cabling. I will actually use this to go from here to the fuse panel, so that way we can have hood lights. And then we'll also use the same cabling for the interior of the vehicle. So let's go ahead and get this installed. Super excited to actually have a hood light. So I am super thrilled of how this all turned out. As you can tell here, I mounted it on a phone mount. It has a magnetic backing, so I put the magnetic strip on the back of the Auxbeam and then put the phone holder in the middle console. And that way, if I ever need to remove it, I can just take it off that and then put it wherever. But right now, I think it works fantastic. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. I will try to get back with you. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.